In this report, I share how to leave the USA safely. I will share how to leave the USA rapidly but responsibly in 2025 so you increase your chances of success. A successful exit is one where your decision is more likely to be correct. If you make the right decision, you will save thousands of dollars. Here's why. If you jump the gun and pick a place that turns out to be a dud, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars to pull up roots again and move to another country or back to the USA. And it doesn't take much more effort to do this correctly. I was not running from politics when I left the USA 17 years ago. I was running towards exploring our beautiful world. I was excited to taste tacos in Mexico, pad thai in Thailand, and snorkel in the most beautiful reefs of the Philippines. I left the USA with a smile on my face, excited to explore the foods, music, architecture, history, and cultures of the world. I've lived in 73 countries. Life is too short to waste your time. So I will not recommend any country to you unless I've had my boots on the ground there. Okay, increase overseas success with very little extra effort. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you know that I suggest that you never make a permanent decision about where to move overseas while sitting on your couch watching videos in your home country. I believe you must visit in person before making any final decisions. But everyone seems to be in a hurry these days. So I'll assume you are in a hurry and you're only willing or able to do one exploratory visit before deciding where to move overseas. That is the purpose of this video. In that case, I suggest a cluster visit to increase your success chances. So what is a cluster visit? Many people seem to want to pick where they will move or retire overseas while sitting on their couch at home. In that case, here's what I suggest to increase your odds of success. Go ahead and pick what you believe will end up being your perfect place to live or retire overseas while sitting on your couch at home. Then go there and make sure it's right for you before making a final decision. But do one more thing to ensure your success. The flight is the expensive part. So visit a few neighboring countries while you're in that part of the world. The cost of visiting nearby countries is pretty reasonable. Visiting a cluster of countries will increase your odds and confidence in your decision. The flight to another part of the world could easily cost you $800 or $1,500 round trip. But once we are in a new part of the world, the buses, trains, minivans to neighboring countries could be as little as $20 to $50 per person. Even flights to an adjacent country, a short hop, may only be $50 to $100 one way. Let me give you a few examples. I will suggest 3 of my favorite clusters to give you concrete examples. The clusters include Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. These are just examples. You can create your own clusters just like I will show you now. So I'll start with the Southeast Asia cluster. Let's say you've been watching YouTube videos and you decide that your perfect place to retire overseas would be either Thailand or the Philippines. But you check on Skyscanner and you learn that a round trip ticket to Thailand will cost you $900 round trip depending on where you're flying from. If you stay in the Bangkok, in the Sathon area where we stay in an Airbnb, it's about $30 per night. Your meals will be anywhere from about $2 where we eat, or in the fancy tourist restaurants, you could easily pay $8 per meal or more. The cost could vary greatly, but in this example, 2 weeks on the ground in Bangkok would be $700. With airfare, it would be $1,614 to see only Bangkok. You may want to split the 2 weeks, one in Bangkok and one at the beach in Thailand. There are buses running to the beaches in Thailand starting for around $20 each way per person. Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. My first cluster, after 2 weeks in Thailand, let's add a week in Cambodia. Cambodia 1 week. The bus from Bangkok to Siem Reap is 20 bucks. Visa in Cambodia is $36 upon entry, and accommodations around 26 bucks a night for 7 nights would be $182. And restaurants, our average meals were 5 bucks per person. For you, it'd be 102 for 21 meals because you're there for a week. Let's look at Vietnam. Vietnam for 2 weeks, $694. Let's break it down, and then I'll add all these up for you. The flight is 211, that's from Siem Reap to Da Nang, Vietnam. Your tourist visa is $35. Your accommodations, 14 nights at 20 bucks a night, is $280 for 2 weeks. Restaurants, our average meals were about 4 bucks, so we would spend $168 for 42 meals. Philippines, 2 weeks. Flight from Da Nang to Manila, $211. The bus or ferry, $34 from Manila to Puerto Galera, beautiful place. Tourist visa, 28 days free upon entry. Accommodations, 14 nights, 20 bucks a night, $280. Restaurants, $252. We average $6 per meal, 42 meals, that's $252. Philippines for 2 weeks, $711. So Bangkok only for 14 days, you divide that 1,614 by 14 days, it's $115 daily rate. Now let's look at what the cluster costs per day. Bangkok, $1,614, Cambodia, $340, Vietnam, $694 for 2 weeks, Philippines, $711 for 2 weeks. Add all that up, it's $3,462 divided by 49 days in this cluster, and you're at $71 a day. So that's the kind of savings. By visiting a cluster of countries around your target country, you get to see 3 more additional countries, and you get to spend 49 days in Southeast Asia instead of just 14. You'll either confirm that Thailand's your favorite, or you'll find out that you will love another part of Southeast Asia even more. This increases your chances and confidence in picking the right place. Of course, you get to design your cluster, add or remove countries, maybe Laos, Malaysia, Indonesia, and shorten or lengthen how long you stay in each country. Here are 2 additional clusters I would recommend depending on whether you are more interested in Latin America or Eastern Europe. I will start with Eastern Europe. I have 265 reports and 2 courses on how to move overseas and earn money online that go on sale for 50% off soon. But you need to jump on my email list so you will be notified when the sale starts. So grab a free copy of my ebook to get notified. Okay, Eastern European cluster. We really loved our time in Albania this past summer while touring around Eastern Europe. But we would suggest the following European cluster for a visit. Serbia, number 1, Montenegro, number 2, Tirana, Albania, number 3, and North Macedonia, number 4. My favorite in this cluster is Tirana, but I would fly into Serbia, often a cheaper flight, and spend time in Belgrade, Serbia first, then head to Montenegro, Albania, and then North Macedonia. Obviously, you can add or remove countries and change how long you stay in each. We have full, detailed reports of our favorite cities in each country to help you add or remove locations for your clusters and how long to stay in each place. This is just one example. Serbia 1 week, Montenegro 1 week, Albania 2 weeks, North Macedonia 2 weeks. Okay, let's talk about costs. Your flight to Belgrade, Serbia, depending on your home departure city, is $443. A tourist visa, 90 days free, depending on your home country. Accommodations, $343. That's 7 nights at $49 per night. Restaurants, 21 meals at $8 each, $168 US. Okay, then you head to Montenegro for a week. The bus, $28. Train and bus to Kota, Montenegro from Belgrade, Serbia, 28 bucks. Your tourist visa, 90 days free, depending on your home country. Restaurants, local meals start around 7, tourist meals go up to about 11, $9 average, 21 meals, $189 in restaurants. Then you take the bus to Tirana, Albania for 28 bucks, Kotor, Montenegro to Tirana, Albania for 28 bucks. 14 days, $28 is $392. Restaurants, $294 US. That's $7 average per meal for 42 meals. Visa, 1 year visa free for Americans. Most other countries, 90 days on entry. Beach, you may want to split Albania 1 week in Tirana, 1 week in Saranda. Finally, in this cluster, you take the bus to Skopje, North Macedonia from Tirana, Albania, $22. Accommodations, $30 a night, 14 nights, $420. Restaurants, 42 meals for 2 weeks, $9 average per meal, $378. Many countries get 90 days free upon entry. Okay, the cluster analysis. If you add all these up, Belgrade, $954, because it had that flight in there. Kotor, $497. Tirana, $714 for 2 weeks. Skopje, $820 for 2 weeks. That all adds up to $2,986 for 42 days, averages $71 per day. The final cluster example is for Latin America, but I know what you were thinking. You're wondering what free resources we have to help you plan your escape using these clusters. Come to vagabondbuddha.com, click on the courses tab, then click on the Retire Overseas course, then watch this video that explains all the resources we have, both free and with memberships, and grab that free ebook so you're notified when the 50% off sale starts. Okay, my final cluster example is Latin America. And remember, this is a boots on the ground recommendation. Okay, Guatemala, number 1 for 2 weeks, Costa Rica, 1 week, and Panama, your third country, for 2 weeks. My first country will be Guatemala, and I love Antigua there. I've already shown you the tools I use to get cheap flights, Skyscanner, accommodations, Airbnb, and ground transportation, Rome to Rio, and prices change constantly, so I'll let you use those tools to put together your first cluster. But week 1 would be Antigua. I would fly into Guatemala and spend my first week in Antigua, which is my favorite city in Central America. Week 2, I would take ground transportation up to Lake Atitlan in northern Guatemala. Of course, we have Retire Cheap reports on both if you want to know where we stayed, what we ate, and what we did while we were in both locations. I do not suggest traveling south from Guatemala overland, so find a reasonable flight to Costa Rica on Skyscanner. For all of our flights, we use Skyscanner to find the cheapest flight, but then we book directly with the airline, because if you have to make changes, the airlines are nicer to you. Okay, Costa Rica. This will seem odd to you, 1 week, but I do not recommend Costa Rica as a place to spend much time in Latin America. I've been all over that country, and I think it's overrated for what it costs. But everyone else is going to tell you how great it is, so you need to see it for yourself so you can decide for yourself. Otherwise, all of the press on Costa Rica may create doubts about your final decision if you don't go there. We have videos and reports all over Costa Rica help you decide where to stay. If you want to be surrounded by tourists, I would recommend Tamarindo. If you like being around locals more, I would suggest Quepos or Uvita. Then head south on ground transportation through Costa Rica into Panama. Okay, Panama, 2 weeks. First, if a flight to Panama is much cheaper than Guatemala, consider starting in Panama City and heading north through this cluster of countries in Central America. Okay, week 1 in Panama. I would stay in Boquete, Panama. It's a gorgeous highlands region, cool weather, with some of the most beautiful hiking I've ever seen. During that week, I would take the local bus down the mountain and spend a day in David, a more local place. Boquete is more expats, and pick the one I like the most. Week number 2, I would stay in Panama City, not the Old Town area, that's a fun place to visit, but one of the other areas we talk about in our Panama City report. Okay, cluster design resources. Remember, when you are designing your cluster visit, We have free videos on YouTube of all of the places in all of the countries. The videos show you what a place looks like while my voiceover shares what I learned about the place while my feet were on the ground there. Plus, the locations are ranged by country name, so you do not need to scroll through hundreds of unrelated topics to get what you need. You just watch videos for that country only, and when you're ready, you move to another country in the playlist. Plus, if you click the first link in the notes below any video, there's more data about each place, such as weather, residency, retirement visas, things to do, healthcare, where to eat, real estate, and where we stayed. Okay, now grab your free ebook so you get notified when the 50% off sale happens. And finally, we also have a YouTube playlist that compares countries to one another. Since we've seen these places with our feet on the ground, these are often the most valuable thing when you're narrowing your search. I'll put that country comparison playlist on the screen now so you can see what I mean.